Hey everybody, it's Mickey Myquworth, and I have a lot of notes for us today because welcome, welcome. My name is Mickey, and I am your guide through the 12-week year. And today, the 12-week year is a book, and it's a book that is a guide on how to kind of get stuff done. And it's got the reason I like it. It's got an accountability group. You're here because we are in the accountability group, but it's such a great opportunity to be able to have a system that you follow, and it helps you get through all your stuff. Now I've gone through 8 rounds of this, and in 8 rounds, I will tell you that you get a lot of stuff done. But what is also happening for many people in this group is the concept of masking. So we're going to talk about masking and emotional fact finding. So when you're thinking about the 12-week year, not everyone is doing like a project. I need to get my house organized, or I need to get more clients, or whatever. Some people are really focusing in on the personal work that they need to do. And that pattern of saying, I have to go inside and do some deeper work is perfect for a 12-week model because it's 84 days. So for 84 days, you can kind of just focus in on one thing. And it is really great if you're trying to build a habit, if you're trying to do uh, work on something interiorly. What I see a lot, especially in my mentees, is a lot of people we identify that they have been masking. And when we look at masking, right, the way that I explain masking is, again, I wrote it down for you. It's really when we behave in a way that's in opposition to how we really feel. So if we're behaving in a way that's really not what's deep inside, and we mask in a lot of different ways. And what happens in the 12-week year is people start to kind of hit some sticky bits or some obstacles, or they just become confronted with why they haven't been achieving or why they aren't getting to their goals done. And they're also really in a position to not know what to do, because all of the things that we have to work on are often right there in plain sight. So, especially when we talk about masking, that we see it a lot in high performers, we see it socially, we see it emotionally, we see it in leadership all of the time, where and you see it in another way where people kind of go, I have imposter syndrome. And I have a whole different view on imposter syndrome, but the important part here is to pay attention. And that is what that I remind everyone, when you're going through the 12-week year process, you have to give yourself grace, and you have to really be the person to yourself that you can trust. And one of the things that I also like about being an accountability group and doing that from a prosperity mindset is you you are learning you are learning through that group how to keep a promise to yourself. And what happens when you constantly offload and don't do it and don't do it and don't do it and don't do it and don't do it, where you put your ideas last, or you don't use your intuition, or you lie about how you feel about something, or you hide what your real feelings are. There's so many ways that we mask. And I've seen masking from the pros and done it myself. So masking is something that I had to work through a lot. And it's one of the things that people really notice is they're like, well, you're no different here than you are here, than you are here, than you are here. No, I'm not. But that took a lot of work. That took a lot of work and a lot of grace. So when you're in the 12-week year, not everyone is working on a task that we can see, like cleaning the closet. Sometimes we're really cleaning what is even more important, which is we're cleaning out our headspace. So a lot of times I will assign leaders an emotional fact finding month where, because I see everybody, all my mentees I see once a month. So I'll say, look, I think it's good for you to look at just emotional fact finding. You don't have to do anything. I'm not asking you to process any of it. I'm just saying it's super helpful to just notice and name the feelings that you're feeling. Sometimes it's rage, sometimes it's jealousy, sometimes it's man. You're just writing it down. You're writing down the time and the emotion. The time, the emotion, the time, the emotion, the time, the emotion. You don't have to sort it out. But what will happen is as you just recognize the emotions that you are feeling, it's going to penetrate the mask. And what happens is you don't have to tell anyone. I don't ask them to report in, but if they'd like to share it, that's great. But they will get a list at the end of the day to go, how many emotions did I feel today? And how many of them were positive? How many of them were deprecating? How many of them were about something that was already past? Like how many times are you being triggered about something that happened back here that you're bringing into the morning today? So a fact-finding mission, when you're on a fact-finding mission, you're really looking at, and I'm going to look at my notes here. When you're on that fact-finding mission, it's inquiry, right? So when you're really looking for as an outcome is acceptance. And I want to just understand that your goal is not to dig it out. It's not to yell at your emotions. It's not to do any of those things. The goal for it is acceptance. Now, acceptance does not ever mean approval, but acceptance is just, it is what it is. That's it. That's it. It is. I'm having these emotions. It is what it is. And then you can move forward from there. But in the 12-week year, you have enough time to do a fact finding mission, and you have a fact finding for a while. And when you think about fact finding, you're really going to start paying attention to the nuances. And those nuances are going to be first, respect. The second is going to be really understanding the nubbins of that emotion. Is it really that emotion, or is it something different? That it is there a meaning to what that's about? Sometimes I'm enraged about something because it's getting in the way of another goal that I want. Okay, so if I'm feeling anger, I might want to find a deeper fact. And that deeper fact is something else, right? And if you've been in class with me, you go, here's the thing that is presenting, here's the emotion, and then there's the thing under it, right? So here's the emotion and here's the thing that's under it. But in a fact finding mission, you really need to go, right, a little deeper as you go forward. You'll start to get very good at going, oh, there's a whole pile of emotions that are all stuck together. And they're all kind of glumpy, and they just have more to it than I may realize. You're not really there to solve them or disrupt them yet, but what does happen is that as you start paying attention to the fact that emotions are there and that you're going to be accepting of that you do have emotions, that they do play a role in your life, that is how we function. People ignore their emotions so much, and they and emotions are a big deal because that's your filter. That's what's there. And if you don't know what it's actually, all of the information that's coming in with those emotions, if you don't know how to read them, if you don't know how to write them down, if you don't know how to talk to them, they don't trust you. If your emotions don't trust you, they build a mask. And then you start lying to yourself. And then you start doing all this stuff that's kind of a prerequisite of kind of stupid. But we do it. I do it. You do it. Everybody does it. And we start masking. So part of what ends up happening is when people say to me, I'm going to take the 12 weeks to really do this emotional fact finding, that I go, this is going to be fantastic, because you will start down a journey that is really the end pattern that you get to is humility. And you get to true humility, which is that you are going to be appreciative for being able to hear the message. You're going to be appreciative that your emotions tell you a bunch of stuff. And as you learn to recognize emotions, recognizing the depth of them, the ingredients that they have, because they're an ingredient, when you start to really see all the ingredients that are inside of the information that you're getting, you really don't have to put on a mask anymore, because you can actually read the information in real time. And what ends up happening is you just kind of get to be humble. You get to be the humility of that, of just going, I don't know, I'm feeling really lost on this subject. And when I tell people what are the emotions that I'm processing and what that does for me, I don't have to wear a mask anymore. I don't have to look like I know the answer. I don't have to change my behavior to match everybody else's. That I will often kind of speak my truth in a meeting. And oftentimes, my truth is sometimes everybody else's truth, but they don't want to talk about it because they are busy hiding behind their own mask. So when you're thinking about masking, again, right, the definition I wrote down for you is that you behave in opposition to how you feel. That will never work for you long term. So even as we talk about the goals that you're setting, all these things that you want to do with your life, if you are acting differently than how you feel, those goals will be structured in a way that actually doesn't serve you. So when we see people start, a lot of times I see that with self-care, that they go, wow, I got to feed myself first. This is a much deeper conversation of emotional fact finding and understanding your mask. And some people will do it for more than one round, but one round is kind of a good one to just try it on, because doing the work on yourself interiorly, on what you really think and feel, and what you really think and feel as being the liberating voice of how you get to be in the world, that changes everything. It changes everything. And that is a powerful tool. And while the 12-week year is often done for very physical, kind of earthly tasks, I guess, it is really going to lead you, once all your closets are done and the books are clear and all that other stuff. Once you kind of get there, you go, hey, I'm now a little clutter free, because once you kind of clean out your physical space, you're now available to take on your emotional space. And that is really where people get to be very, very magic, because you only have to do it for 84 days. And that 84 days, anybody can do it for 84 days, but it is just a test. You can just test something new, right? What if, what if, what if I took 12 weeks to just do this thing that Mickey's talking about? What if I just do some emotional fact finding? What if I take that on in my 12-week year? What if I really am willing to look at the masks I wear? And what comes after that is that sometimes I'm willing to take on something else that's kind of big. So I just want you to think about it, that if you, not all of your goals have to be very tactile like that. And as you clear the physical, it's time to come in to the emotional and the spiritual part of who you are and work on these deeper conversations. The emotional fact finding is also, for those of you who understand DBT, there's a lot of information. There's a whole rabbit hole you can get into with DBT on how are you going to regulate yourself and what are some really great guides. It is the best guide around when you're doing internal work. And when you're doing the internal work, it's helpful to be accountable to someone. And just being able to say, hey, I did a lot of, I'm working on this, because when you're in group, you're going to report in every week. Hey, here's what I did. Here's what I got done this week. Here's how I'm using these skills. This is what's coming up. But to come out 84 days later and find that you struck gold, or that you hit a bullseye, that you were able to unwind something that was kind of kind of cyberpunk weird about yourself, that you're like, wow, I found this weird thing out about myself. That is gold. That is the bullseye. That's the entire framework. So think about it, think about it, think about it. And again, I always appreciate you coming into class. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being here. Thank you for spending this time with me, because you are the most important thing in your life. So showing up for you isn't just fun, not just powerful, it's the biggest deal. So I'll see you soon. If I can't see you live in class, I'll see you right here. Now, don't forget, there's lots of good things here. So you're welcome to subscribe. You're welcome to like, but we also love your comments. So if you are doing DBT skills, if you're doing emotional fact finding already, give everybody else some tools. All right. Bye.